Hi, this is Morley and this is the M-Wire. In this video, we're going to look at how Gavin Newsom, Governor of California, has put together a task force for slavery reparations. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. That would greatly help out the channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Here's just another asinine idea from leftist Governor Gavin Newsom. Why should people that are alive today that have never been slave owners pay reparations to people who themselves have never been slaves? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Then again, this is the left we're talking about. Things don't have to make sense. I'm not denigrating the issue of slavery. What happened was horrible to say the least, but here's an analogy for you. If my great-great-great-grandfather killed your great-great-great-grandfather, can I be held responsible for the crime? Obviously not. So how is this any different? Newsom is putting together a task force to study this. How will it be determined who gets what? Think of all the records that will have to be painstakingly gone through to determine eligibility. That alone will cost taxpayers a lot of money. Money that California, quite frankly, does not have. Some people will actually go through the trouble of forging documents because it means money to them. California can't even afford to pay people their unemployment and pension checks. They have wildfires burning out of control, which is costing an enormous amount of money to combat. Yet somehow, some way, they want to give money to people who have never been slaves from people who have never been slave owners. There are much more pressing issues that Newsom should be thinking about than this, like opening up the state so people can work and support their families. Needless to say, you can easily see that other Democratic governors have followed suit and they think, wow, that's a great idea, we should do that. I tell you, leftist logic is quite something else, wouldn't you agree? Let's get into this article. Governor Newsom approves task force on slavery reparations as taxpayers wonder how broke California will foot the bill. California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom has approved the creation of a task force to examine paying reparations to the descendants of slaves, the first such proposal ever passed by a state government. Newsom signed AB 3121 into law on Wednesday, creating a 9-member task force to study reparations for Black Americans. While the governor lamented that the legislation hasn't been passed decades ago, he hailed the bill for establishing a paradigm that we hope will be resonant all across the United States. This is not just about California. This is about making an impact, a dent across the rest of the country, Newsom said moments after signing the bill. While the bill itself commits the state to no particular payments, it will launch a task force to consider how reparations could be implemented in California. The task force is also required to hold its first meeting by next June and will submit its recommendations to the government 1 year later, which will not be binding. The law also does not specify from what form the reparations must take, proposing various alternatives to direct cash payments, such as forgiving student debt, financing job training, or other public work projects. Though California is the first government to pass such legislation, similar proposals have been floated by lawmakers in Texas, New York, and Vermont, but none have yet passed. On a more local level, city administrators in both Asheville, North Carolina, and Providence, Rhode Island, approved measures related to reparations in July. Asheville City Council passed its plan unanimously, mandating payments in the form of public investments, while Providence Mayor George Elorza signed into order vowing to create a framework for reparations in the future. California's history with slavery is somewhat ambiguous. While the state constitution explicitly prohibits both slavery and involuntary servitude, records suggest chattel slavery was largely practiced in the open, namely after the gold rush of the mid-1800s, which brought thousands of white settlers out west, bringing with them slaves. California has come to terms with many of its issues, but it has yet to come to terms with its role in slavery, said Assemblywoman Shirley Weber, Democrat from San Diego, who authored the reparations bill. We're talking about really addressing the issues of justice and fairness in this country that we have to address. Newsom's decision to sign the proposal into law was hailed by a number of locals, including rapper and LA native Ice Cube, who thanked the governor for giving it the green light. Thank you, Governor Gavin Newsom, for signing AB 3121. And thank you, ADOS Los Angeles, for bringing the bill to my attention so we could push from all angles. Thank you for signing this, Governor. It's about time we reflect on past errors and seek to make amends. Some residents were up in arms over the bill, however, questioning whether or not it would change the past, while others insisted that they would not pay reparations for historical abuses they find abhorrent and had no role in. Respectfully, how will this change the past and help the future? Will the indigenous people of the state receive reparations? They seem to be first in line in my books, one Needson wrote. I have not had slaves, nor do I support it, nor will I pay for anyone's reparations. Reparations will be the last straw for me. Even if this looks possible, I will take my family to a new state. Other critics noted that despite the fact California is already broke, while the dealing in widespread homelessness, power outages, and rampant wildfires, among other issues, the government still can't spend taxpayers' cash fast enough. Newsom announces that California is going to consider paying reparations for descendants of slaves. This is a decision supported by California residents or an arbitrary act ramrodded by Newsom. Never mind California was a free state. They can't spend taxpayers' cash fast enough. California is broke and homeless, on fire, and can barely keep the lights on, but they have time and money for reparations to those who never suffered slavery. Recall your governor or state will be forever lost. Ain't that the truth? I mean, California has much, much bigger problems than reparations for slaves. I'm sorry. I mean, I might have a different opinion if they say had a boatload of cash in surplus, but they don't. I mean, this cannot go forward because then everyone will want reparations for something. I'm sorry. But I thank you very much for coming along to my video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and God bless you all.